We're live. We're live, man. Oh,
Wait,
we've been
no,
going
we're
for
not.
7 seconds. Yes, we are. Oh, wait, I don't know.
It's not live for me.
I just started it. I don't know what's going on.
Let's wait for a little bit and see if it
Oh no,
works.
we're live for 3 seconds now,
Oh,
apparently.
yes, it is live! I can see us now.
Hey. Okay, so yeah, yo, what's guys? Welcome back to a brand new, I was gonna say video podcast. This is the voice acting experience with myself, Lewis.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. And me, Scuffle, Sophie. I don't know. I've never done a live stream like this before, especially with you, but I'm really glad that we're doing this.
Yeah, this is fun. So, today's live stream, we're going to be talking about voice acting and everything that comes with it. So, we decided to do this because on the Machinima Hub channel, we have podcasts every month talking about like the projects that come out and the machinimas, but we never talk about the voice acting. And me and Sophie, being voice actors ourselves, decided to take upon ourselves to make a podcast out of it. And if you want to be a voice actor and you want some tips on voice acting, we got you. We got you. So that's basically what that's basically what this podcast is. So yeah, what is the topic for today, Sophie?
The topic of today is auditions.
Yep. So
So, we're going to be talking about auditions, about maybe giving some tips about how if you're just starting out and you want to audition, where you can audition, how you can audition. Maybe we'll, show some casting calls that you can audition for.
yep, maybe we might shamelessly promote a few casting calls. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Pretty much.
uh,
So yeah.
yeah. So
First, we might start with, because we have a few pinpoints on what we want to talk about, we can talk about, right, let's start from the beginning. You're a voice actor or you want to get into voice acting and you don't know where to look, right?
mm,
So, a place that I've found is Casting Call. A lot of people among us have found Casting Call as well, or Casting Call Club. And it's a place where you can make an account and then you can basically audition for any open roles or, like, well, minor roles or lead roles or supporting or all kinds of roles.
yep.
To different projects, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good for really just getting into voice acting. You know, just if you want to become a voice actor and you haven't done it before, Casting Call Club really is the best website to start on because it's very simple, it's straightforward. You can do paid and unpaid projects, so but obviously if you're starting out, you don't want to go straight to the paid thing, which is a very key thing because let's be real, if you're starting out with voice acting, you haven't got all the necessary things to go and do professional work. Like maybe you might need a better mic, or you might your skills might not be up to scratch. You don't want to go for the paid stuff straight away. It's always good to audition for whatever you can. I highly recommend you always, if you see something, audition for it. It doesn't matter who else has auditioned. You get experience from it. People will see your name. You'll just put yourself out there more. So
Yeah.
that's yeah. So basically, when you come across casting calls, you just got to audition. If it's paid, don't be bummed out if you don't get it. So I recommend not going for paid stuff. I've not really done much paid stuff, and I've been a voice actor for 2 years, so it doesn't always come straight away, and that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how it is. Have you ever done anything paid, Sophie? Is that
Well, I haven't really done anything paid. I've auditioned for a project that was paid, but I didn't audition for like a leading role. I think I auditioned for like a police officer in a type of comic dub or something like that. I didn't get it, but there were a lot of people who actually auditioned for that. So chances are smaller when you want to audition for a paid project because a lot of people tend to look for those, I guess, because it's interesting and you know.
Yeah.
hmm But speaking of just auditions, what do you think, Lewis, that a creator looks for in an audition of like a voice actor or when you're looking to cast people for a project?
Well, that's a very good question because I feel like a creator will look for something in a voice actor. Like they'll look definitely for positivity. And what I mean, that's very very vague. But what I mean by that is you're willing to work with them. If you're a voice actor that will literally just post your demo reel, or you'll just post a couple of lines, or you won't do variants of lines, and what that means is if you post one version of a line. So say for example, I don't know, Scuffle, can you give me like a line that could be said in two different tones and say complete and two completely different things? Could you think of like an example? Because I'm really I'm blank right now.
Um, let's see. It's a really nice day today.
Yeah. So okay. So for example, that line could be done as, "Oh, it's a really nice day today," or "Oh, it's a really nice day today." Or
Kind of like,
yeah, like it
yeah, you could either do it sarcastically or like actually upbeat.
or monotonal
There-
or however,
Yeah.
unless it's specified how they have to do it, then creators will look for people who can show that they can, use different intonations, they can use different ways of presenting their lines. That way, when they come to editing, they might listen to a couple of your takes and then see, oh, well, I thought I was originally going to use this one, but because they did variants, I see that this one now works better. And that
hmm
makes the creator's job a whole lot easier. So they'll look for people who are willing to work with them and willing to, make their life easier. Okay. They'll be looking
Yeah.
for people who are active, who, give lines in quick and all this. There's loads of other stuff. So, I mean, what else would you say creators look for in voice actors?
Well, I feel like this is something that I think of often, like when I'm listening to other people's auditions, because sometimes I like to listen to my competition or, like other voice actors auditioning for other roles. And one thing that kind of I imagine that creators kind of um, I guess it's like a quick choice. If someone has a lot of background noise, which you cannot always do something about that, but when someone has a lot of background noise, I think you're quicker to choose someone who doesn't have it than someone who has it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hmm
I 100% agree. If you have background noise, it instantly makes your audition like worse. And I'm sorry to say that, it kind of sounds a bit harsh, but sometimes when I've casted for projects in the past, I've heard ambient noise or just static in the background, and I've just gone nah, nah.
The thing is,
It's
though, it's a shame when someone is actually really good at the acting part, which obviously is the most important. But if someone is really good at acting, but they can't be heard clearly enough because of their background noise, then that's kind of a bummer, you know? I'm
yeah,
sure that people would still be chosen for a role because, you feel like that weighs against the negative or the positive, and you can kind of feel like, okay, well, this is okay. But that's where Audacity comes in, honestly, because even though I do um, record with like a mic that doesn't pick up a lot of background noise, I still try to edit it out. So it's kind of like, um, well, there's something, well, you can honestly do a lot of steps in Audition that can improve your audio, which helps, at least it does for me, because I have a tiny little bit of static if you turn it up or if you amplify my audio. And then if you get rid of that, then it sounds a lot better. Sometimes it can happen that you blow out your mic, but then you kind of just need to redo the line or turn down the volume, something like that.
okay. So talking about like the background noise and kind of how to remove it, like what would you recommend? I know what I've got. I've got a Blue Yeti microphone, which is a very good beginner starter mic. I should upgrade, but mine does the job. and it does it really well. So
Mhm.
I don't really see a need to get a new one. What do you use? Do you use blue or no?
Yeah, I use a blue snowball. Um,
Hey,
mhm.
yep.
And basically, I've looked a little bit into voice acting before I started, and a lot of people have said a blue Yeti or a blue snowball are good microphones to start off with. But to be completely honest, I started off with my phone microphone. I started recording on my phone, and then I would actually move the files from my phone to my PC, and then start editing it, turning it into an MP3, and then edit it in Audacity to try and remove background noise.
Yep. And that's key. Key background noise is key. So, um, I'm gonna explain this real quick. This is how I go through the process. I don't know if any of you would want to do it differently, but if you want to remove background noise, just go into Audacity. You select a bit of the track that has that's just the ambient noise in the background. So what I recommend is after you're done recording, leave your mic running for a couple of seconds without saying anything. Take that, select it, and then go into your effects, noise reduction, and then get the noise sample, select the entire track, and then just get rid of the ambient noise, and it works beautifully. Like Audacity is an absolute it's God. Okay, I would not be where I am today without Audacity and its genius. It is so good. I'm so glad the program
The
exists.
nice part, yeah, the nice part about Audacity is that it's free. So if you're looking for like a program to edit your voice, it's really nice to use as a beginner. Because honestly, I don't think I'm a professional. I'm far from that, but it's nice to just have the equipment that you need. So, like an editing program, a microphone, honestly, any microphone. You can even use your headset microphone. Anything that you have that can record, any program that you can afford, that just helps a whole lot. And I just like Audacity because it offers a really wide range of effects that you can do, or to improve your audio, or stuff like that.
Yeah, Audacity you can make yourself sound like Darth Vader, so I think that's really cool. I just realized
Yeah,
Ray
yeah.
Ray said in the chat, Monkey Vision got a oh wait no wait what is it? Lewis uses a can and a string.
Oh.
Is this what you think of my Enderboy lines, Ray? Oh, by the way, if my avatar's Enderboy, it's because me and Sophie before this podcast we like called and then we started stressing because we hadn't made the little graphic. So then I was like scrounging to try. Like Sophie sent me hers, and I was like, "Oh, that's really good." And I'm like trying to find mine. And I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna use Enderboy." That's
Yeah.
that's about it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep it.
Sino actually drew this one for me, so I'm really glad about that.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
Damn talent,
yeah.
talent.
But yeah, what I also just really like about the voice acting is because I wanted to get into voice acting for a longer time, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, I came across Machinima Hub, and I don't quite remember. I think a friend of mine actually sent me an invite, and I just feel like it's a really nice community to kind of grow in. You're starting off as, I mean, I started off as a nobody. Nobody really knew me. Maybe some people vaguely knew me. And it's just really nice to kind of, you see all of these casting calls fly by, and then you're like, you know what? I'm actually going to check that out. And then, you start auditioning, and then you start auditioning for more projects, and then you start getting more confident and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I 100%.
Brigger.
What did Breaker say?
Brigger said, a friend of mine, don't know who. But I think there was someone that actually invited me to the TSC Discord, and then from there, I do the Machinima Hub.
And then you became the infamous character known as Rebecca.
I didn't expect to blow it, like to have it blow up that, or expected that either. but I'm really glad that um, it well, people liked the part as much as, I like doing it.
That's always good. That's always good. Honestly, though, this podcast is
Mhm.
the crossover you didn't think you needed. This is Rebecca meets Enderboy.
Pretty
The,
much. Mhm.
but so yeah, I agree. So as well as casting Call Club and searching for those, well, just looking around for the projects that you can audition for, which there is tons. There is tons of projects. Literally getting into a community like Machinima Hub is the best way to go because there are people, not on a daily basis, but very frequently looking for voice actors and posting the casting calls anyway. So you'll find casting calls that are probably, that you can audition for and stuff like that. And if you like some people's content, then there you go. I mean, you get to audition for their content, maybe be in it, make friends. It's all cool. So
Mhm. That I would like to give advice about, though, is the way that I started off with voice acting was I kind of tipped my toes into it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I, at first I started smaller roles to kind of get a feel for it, or I don't know, um, try and experiment a bit, and then kind of take bigger steps towards bigger roles, because just take it one step at a time, and then kind of, yeah, as you progress, take better roles, or not necessarily better, but bigger roles, or do more lines, stuff like that.
yeah. I do agree. It's better to start off with roles where you can really get a feel for voice acting instead of going straight into a big character role. Like it's if you go straight from just beginning to voice act to like auditioning a few times, maybe you found yourself into like a community like Machinima Hub, and then you go straight to a role like, for example, like Rebecca. If you go straight to a Rebecca sized role, you're like you're just, I mean, it's daunting and you haven't had much experience. It's so just kind of build yourself up into it, mate. You just voice act here and there, and then once you get confident enough, once you've auditioned a lot, then go for the bigger roles because you
Yeah.
you never know.
I kind of felt like it's kind of funny because I felt like I wasn't fully prepared for Rebecca. Because, like, I feel like looking back now, I feel like I could have done better already, right? But I remember stuff like when you get cast for a role and you want to start recording these scenes, right? I remember me just calling with Rhaegar, trying to figure out what she should sound like and like that. And then the fighting scenes, for some reason, I was really uptight about that. I felt like I disliked the fighting scenes, but it was awkward to do. So another little bit of advice for anyone who wants to get into voice acting or is a little bit unsure about themselves, or I mean, sometimes people don't like hearing their own voices back, but you kind of need to get used to that, you know? And if you start voice acting, then kind of do it in an environment where you feel most comfortable with. If that is not in a call at all, and just your own in your room, or even when like nobody's around, be yourself. Or if you can be comfortable, then do that. But I think you were actually recording something today, Lewis. Can you talk about that?
Recording something today.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Or like
yesterday.
the way that you did it. Or
Oh,
yesterday. I don't remember.
yesterday. Oh, yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I oh yesterday. okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yesterday, I was filming a little film called Enderboy Balance Act. Don't know if you've heard of it.
Mm.
Yeah. So basically, me and Connor. Connor, who plays Uncle Connor, he's just in the chat right now. Skill Studios, yo, what's up, Connor? Welcome here.
Wave! Hey! Hi.
Ender uncle, most certainly joyful. My son, well, he's my uncle anyway. So me and Connor were in a we were in a call to record some of the scenes we have in Balance Act because we find that, well, we didn't find, this was completely an experiment, but I think it worked out really well. Uh, we recorded some scenes together just to see if like conversation would flow,
Mhm.
dialogue would come across, you know, better, and then we could, instead of just reading a script and sending the lines in, we could
Mhm.
react to each other. So then if one thing was said, with a different tone, and it was said maybe, not fast paced, maybe it was said a little slower, then the next person was completely different. In contrast, it was maybe a different tone, and maybe it was said like faster or slower to the first person, then it just doesn't flow well. The dialogue is choppy, it doesn't feel like a real conversation.
Yeah.
So me and Connor decided that we could record these lines together, and we could make it flow like a conversation, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the first times that I've done that, and I can tell you it's really good. So that's definitely a way of going about it. It definitely is.
Mhm. I really, that really reminds me also of when I was recording with Bragar. Bragar, I'm gonna probably say her name a bunch of times because, yeah, like Rebecca was really the first big role for me, or like the first big challenge, and that really stuck with me. And I'm really glad that I got that opportunity. So I'm gonna just, kind of, shameless plug anyway. But when I was recording with him, my most favorite scene. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Rebecca. If you haven't, I suggest you watch it. But but this most favorite scene that I have is of Rebecca and voice actor called Raph. Me and him were basically fighting in this machinima, or in this movie, right, as our characters, and we didn't record that together. But the way that I recorded it was with Bragar, how I was saying my lines, then he responded with the lines of somebody else, and that way you could really make it feel like a conversation, like you said. Like if you record it as a conversation, then it sounds different than when you record it on your own. And
Yeah.
that's not always the case, but I felt like because we recorded it that way, it felt a lot more natural, and it turned out great.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It feels good as well. It feels good. Like you can just tell you've got something special when, like, I don't know, when it just feels good. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It just wow, wow, wow. Joy, she just plugged Rebecca. Yeah, then that's the real reason why we're here. We're just here to promote Rebecca. That is why we're here. Braga better be happy. Uh,
Mhm.
Ray's like,
But yeah.
Ray slides into my DMs and he's like, "Why aren't you promoting Splash?" Nah, I'm
But
joking.
okay, let's try to kind of roll back, right,
Yeah.
to the topic that we wanted to talk about from the start, which
Auditions.
is auditions,
Yeah.
because we have some auditions we might share with you.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, do we?
Basically, we have, at least, if I can advise some, from the hub, we actually have a bunch of creators who've been putting out like auditions or casting calls. And if you make an account on Casting Call Club, then you can upload your lines or like upload to an audition. And it kind of speaks for itself, the website. But if you can't quite uh, figure out how to like how to handle it or whatever, then you can always ask anyone in the hub. But for example, there's a casting call. Joy's casting call, the Ferocious Five, still has an extra role open. And I suggest that if you want to get into voice acting again, you start with smaller roles, and then when you get more confident, you can kind of grow into bigger roles. Or if you already have experience with acting, then you can go for a project like, uh, I'll just say, maybe Tossler's new project of like his Ninjago series, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's what Tulsa's doing right now.
Considering, auditioning for that one. But yeah, we have like a bunch of projects open right now, so.
Yeah, and if you guys if you guys would like to audition for some of these projects, we can leave them in the description. I actually do have
Mhm.
the links somewhere, and I can post them in the description. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna go to my DMs with Sophie, and I'm pretty sure she sent me a load
Because
of
I've
them.
been pinning a lot of the auditions.
Literally,
I've just been collecting them.
for the past week, Sophie's just been collecting these auditions and just sending them to me, then pinning them, and I've been going, "Yep, yep, sounds
Mhm.
good." So I'm gonna
I like
go.
that one.
Which one?
Mhm. Sometimes auditions might get a little bit overwhelming, especially when there are a lot of requirements. I remember when I was like trying to audition for a role, there was a lot of requirements like you need to have Discord, you need to uh, not have a phone microphone, you need to be at least this many years or older, and stuff like that. While I do get that those requirements might be helpful or might make a creator's job easier, I would like to give a bit of feedback to creators saying that if you make a lot of requirements that it can quite overwhelming, and maybe you know maybe you won't read the full thing and people might be more here to audition and then not have all of the requirements, or they might be scared off and back off because they think, oh well, first off, I'm almost 18 and I'm 17 now, for example, or oh well, I don't have a good microphone so I can't audition for this. That's not the case. You can have like a phone microphone like me, but be kind of decent, or you can have the most amazing microphone, you know, as long as you're audible.
Yeah, and I wouldn't.
Background noise, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I
Hmm.
wouldn't recommend like going for those projects that have like a lot of requirements like straight away because, like, it can be daunting. And I'd just say like just try and get experience. Like if you don't have the best mic, it's fine. It really is like it's just about getting experience first, and then once you start getting into it, and people go, hey, you're pretty good. You start to get the new mic. You do you progress forward,
Hmm.
or whatever. So it's it's kind of just a process. It's a step by step process. Obviously, you don't have to do it that way. You could already have a good mic, but it's just about I'd say experience when it comes to auditioning for things first and foremost. So we have I think 5 or 6 maybe. Um, so
Yeah. But it's also, I just want to make a clear statement about that. You need to be amazing at voice acting right away to in order to get into it, because the way that I kind of rolled into it is because I've done acting classes in the past. But if you haven't done that, then it's obvious or it's logical, that you're not skilled or a professional right away. But that's also why you're a beginner. It's not bad to want to practice, or
yeah,
you don't
exactly.
need to be amazing to audition for something. You can be pretty decent, or you can just want more practice. Why I wanted to audition for smaller roles first, just to practice, kind of get into it, get more comfortable, and then once you start getting comfortable, maybe you'll do a role like thing that's a little bit unnatural to you, maybe a higher pitched voice or a lower voice or a crazy character, and just have fun with it.
Yeah, having fun is the main thing. Like I find it really fun when I get to play a character that's like either insane or they have just a certain like you know aura around them that's just so interesting, just the way they present themselves. And voice acting is really like it's just fun. Like it's just a way of
Yeah.
kind of expressing your vocal range, I guess, in a way as well. So it's really cool. So yeah, and the difference between me and Sophie is that you said you had acting classes, right, before voice
Yeah.
acting. I never did. I never like had any acting experience. Like I'd always love acting. Like I'd recite. I'd watch Spider-Man, the original
Mhm.
Spider-Man movies by Sam Raimi, and I'd recite the lines from like Spider-Man 2, like when rewatching the movies. And like my parents would be like, "You should be an actor," and I never really like had the confidence to do it. But then when I got into
Yeah.
voice acting, I kind of just picked up the experience and then just started going, and then it just kind of picked up the pace. So you could either have acting
Yeah.
classes before, but and not have acting. Like it's fine. Like anyone can really get into it if you really want to. So I've got a few casting calls here that we've got that I've
Ooh.
just posted in the description. So first of all, we have the Minecraft DCU, which is by my boy Stealth. Um, which is
Mhm.
it speaks for itself. It's a Minecraft machinery about the DC universe, which is pretty cool. You can go audition for that. These are just ones that like these are like projects that we'd recommend you go and audition for if you want to start out auditioning for projects. These are some
Yeah.
really cool ones, and it's really cool to get involved with people who are in the hub as well because we're all friendly here. We don't bite, other than Ray. Sorry, Ray. Joking. Love you, Ray. Love, love you. The next one is Ninjago by Tosla, as we mentioned before. The third one is a little film that I wrote called Enderboy Balance Act. Oh, what a makes an
Ooh.
audition for Balance Act. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good film. Can't wait. I'm gassed.
Mhm.
Just a little, you threw in your Rebecca promotion. I'm gonna have to throw my Balance Act
Yeah.
promotion.
Just making it fair right now. Okay, I getcha.
Promote Rebecca more so I can promote Balance Act more. Anyways, I'm not getting paid for this. The Crow by my boy Joyful is next. You can go audition for that. And last but certainly not least is The Ferocious Five by Joyful Demon again, and he is starting this miniseries, it looks really cool. It looks really cool. And me and Scuffle are also both involved in that as well. We think it's really cool.
Yep.
We highly recommend you go and audition for that if you really want to. Like, it's good. It's good. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are ones I've just posted in the description right now. Saved it. You guys can go check those out. They're there. But yeah, with auditions, those are some of the casting calls that we do recommend if you want to start
Mhm.
voice acting.
And something that I just thought of was something that I also kind of like about voice acting is that you're not confronted with the fact that people can see you. So, like, in a way, you need to um, what do you call it? You need to kind of carry on this emotion without being seen. So, in a way, you kind of need to exaggerate a bit to try and get emotion across, you know?
Yeah,
It's kind of a challenge.
yeah, because with acting normally you express emotions through facial expressions a lot of the time. There are a lot of good facial expression actors, if that makes sense. Like I was speaking
Yeah.
to Ray the other day. I said Ray the other day, it rhymed. Anyway, sorry. We were talking about Star Wars, and we were talking about Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Ray says to me, "You know what? Hayden Christensen is really good as Anakin." And I say, "Why?" And he said, "Because he's a really good facial actor. Like you can just tell he's angry. Like he portrays the character of Anakin and his anger really well." And I was like, I agree. There are facial actors, but with voice acting, it's like the complete opposite end of the spectrum because, as Sophie was saying, you don't see them, so you can't express that emotion through the face. You have to like use your voice, and like Sophie said, you have to over exaggerate some of the lines just to make it seem a little bit realistic. And especially if you don't have visuals, if you're auditioning for an audiobook, it's going to be a lot
Ooh.
harder. Like that,
Yeah.
audiobooks are probably like they are like Oh, audiobooks are probably the hardest to voice act for because of how much you have to get across. Because with Minecraft Machinimas, at least there is some sort of visual. Like there is something you can do with that. There isn't much, but there is something you can do. But
Yeah.
but
And
it's
and
all the same.
yeah, well, for example, when you're reading a book and there's no pictures in the book and you're just reading a story, you might imagine how a character looks or the way that they act. But with voice acting, you're kind of you're becoming this character because people will recognize a certain voice with a certain character.
Yeah.
And it's kind of your job to kind of, as a voice actor, portray that character. And like Brigger said just now in the chat, there's also a fun little thing that you can do with a character if you're voicing them while they are young, and also while they are like, or maybe like an old lady or an old man, or all kinds of different kinds of ages. You kind of need to play with that as well. What I did with Rebecca, sorry, here we go again, was I had to voice just a small part of her being a young girl, and then also the voice that I was going to stick with. So I feel like I think we first kind of figured out what she was going to sound like in the end, like her adult version, and then I kind of started going higher from there and kind of trying to, figure out a voice for her as a kid. But the fun thing is also you don't always need to adapt to a role to feel that, if you know what I mean. You can also just use your own voice to audition for projects. Like I've done Nessa in Red Tears. Is my normal voice. I don't use any like accents in there. While in Rebecca, I kind of try to. Well, that was also because he was already voiced by a couple of people. So I tried to sound as close to the other people that voiced her before. But yeah, it's kind of. You're just giving life to this character, so you kind of gotta sell it.
Yeah. No,
Mm-hmm.
that's right. That's right. You know, it's just literally just about selling the character at the end of the day. Just trying to do the best job you can with it. And that's and as voice actors, we just try to do the best job that we can. Um like I said, just auditioning for a role is one thing, getting it is another, and honestly, it sometimes can be like a daunting process though. Like
Yeah,
really, like shall we talk about if people like get nervous, like what to do? Because I'm pretty sure we've all been in that.
sure.
We've all been in that
Yeah,
boat. We really have.
definitely. I've been nervous. Yeah, like in live recordings, I get so nervous because I feel like when people are listening, suddenly I feel like, oh, it's really important and I need to sound really good and I can't make any mistakes. But it doesn't matter if you make a little mistake or if you mispronounce something, you can just do it again. It's not a big deal. But if you get nervous, then I'd just go back to my previous tip. Go to an environment that you feel comfortable with. If you aren't comfortable with live recordings, then it's all good to say, okay, well, I understand that you like live recordings, but I don't feel comfortable with it. And that's honest. To just say, well, no, I'd rather do it this way, because you don't have to follow along with what the creator says, because they choose a person to voice their character and their own person. They're not just the character.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No.
what do you think someone can do to avoid getting nervous, or if you are already nervous?
Um. If you to avoid getting nervous, I'd say for like for just reading lines in general. This is more of a general tip, more than focused on either live recordings or auditions or just reading lines in general. What I do normally is I take a few breaths before reading the
Mm-hmm.
line. If you get nervous, just take a few breaths, read the line a couple of times if you have to, maybe out loud or in your head, and then just read it over so you don't stutter or whatever. If that's what making you nervous, that you'd mess up,
Oh,
maybe just read
that
over,
that's yeah.
and
Like
then
also, sorry for interrupting, but I quickly just thought of this. If you are auditioning, and reading these lines for the very first time, try to first read them, kind of get familiar with them, and then try to voice them as the person. Because if you are reading something, then it sounds different to when you're actually writing something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it always does sound different, and that's what exactly what I was gonna say. We were gonna you read the lines over a couple of times, and then you apply the emotions, the way the character speaks. You apply the character to the line after you've got confident with the line, because then once you've got the confidence with the line, and you know you can say it as the character, and you can say it, and you're not gonna stutter with confidence, takes away the nerves. And that's how I
Yeah.
do it. That's the kind of my process. So with the confidence, takes away the nerves, and that's very much how it is. And you may get
Hmm.
nervous again. Just do it again. If you voice a character that you're thinking, "Oh my goodness, this guy or this whoever it is, geez, this is a character I've never played before in my life. I don't know how to go about
Hmm.
this." Just take a step back, a few deep breaths. How would the character say it? What tone would they be in? How are they going to present
Yeah.
themselves? And then just practice, and with the confidence then present it. If the creator says, "Nah, can I do it this way?" There you go, just change it, and just work with the creator. And they're not going to say, "Oh, you're really bad for doing it this way." No, if you've tried, and you've clearly gone over it and confidently presented it, then they're not, just don't worry about it, it's fine.
Yeah, everybody has a range. As for a vocal range, how high and low you can go, but also the range of how far you want to go, if you know what I mean.
The range of yeah, I guess so, yeah.
And it's also, if you don't know how to do something like an accent or something, YouTube was my best friend. Just look up a video and try to kind of get familiar with stuff. Or what I've done is also with effects or with like anything that I'm just interested in, I just Google it. Like, oh, well, maybe like a tutorial on how to do a certain effect on Audacity, or get uh, how to speak in a certain accent. You know?
Yeah, I think accents are also a really big thing as well, because certain roles will require you to do like an accent.
Hmm. But the fun thing is also about when you're trying to go for an accent, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a lot of fun to kind of do stereotypical or really over exaggerate because you can talk British,
Oh no, here we go. British is
but
always the
you can
example. It's
but
always the
but you can
example.
do teacup. Oh, hello, good sir. Would you like some tea?
No, I'm
Over
just.
exaggerate anything.
My name's Harry Potter.
Hmm.
God damn it! It's always
I,
British. It's never any
yeah,
other It's never any other accent.
it's the easiest example, but really it's just over exaggerate, have fun with it. If you sound really excited, then when a creator hears that, then they'll get excited about their own project. And if you're talking about, well, if I'm talking to you, for example, Lewis, and I go, "Oh, I can't wait for your project to come out. I'm gonna go for this 110%.
Yeah,
I'm right here if you need any other lines that you might come up with or think of, then, you know, show
yeah,
that you
yeah,
want
yeah.
to put in that effort, and then the creator will be like, huh,
That
I
also
might
does.
choose them again."
That also does fit into the like, working with the creator. Because if you can work with the creator, and then like, show that you're enthusiastic about it. Give them your lines and say, "Hey, don't get mad at them if they ask you to do it again. Just be cool with it. Yeah, maybe ask why, what they need to do different, but like it like that. That's
Mhm.
that's first when it comes to voice acting and starting out. I feel like working with the creators, and not just giving them lines just willy nilly is a key part of it as well. So, and I like how
Yeah.
Simon just said, or a Slav accent. That is so true.
Yeah.
I can't actually do a Slav accent, which is it's really sad. I wish I could. I think that'd be really funny. I love the accent. It sounds so cool. I love it. But
Hmm.
my range is British, American, maybe a little bit Australian, and that's about it. I'm,
You
I'm
haven't
terrible.
spoken about ages yet.
Ages.
Your range on that.
Oh, my range on accents.
Well, I mean, there's ranges on accents, right? But you
Yeah,
can kind of learn to speak in an accent, so to say.
yeah, yeah,
If you kind of, if you think of like girl, world, that kind of sounds the same. You can kind of try and get into an accent by practicing things like that, and
yeah,
then making your own sentences or looking up random sentences and just trying to say them in that accent. But it's also fun to play with ages or with personalities. And obviously with an audition, you don't always have that freedom to do that, but with an extra role, that's perfect to try out your range, because with an extra role, maybe it'll be a sentence like, "Hey, how are you?" And you can go, "Well, that's my normal voice," or you can go with a really high-pitched voice like a kid is saying it, or a really old voice, or a mean voice. It's all up to your imagination. And with
yeah,
main characters, you're, so to say, kind of locked in place because it needs to sound kind of like, well, a villain needs to sound mean. If a villain sounds really happy and bubbly, then maybe that can be a part of a story, but the classic villain might sound mean, if you know what I mean.
yeah. The classic villain is normally monotonal. He's he's stuck up. He might be a businessman. He might be really evil. He might be the Joker, which the Joker's
Mm.
not doing the Joker voice right now. That's not happening. I have
It's
my
it's
throat is gonna.
fun.
It is fun. It is so
Yeah,
fun.
because again, going back to crazy characters, those are fun to voice, at least I imagine so, because you get to be out of control in a way. You get
Yeah,
to be this person for a little while.
the freedom of crazy characters is insane. And I remember I'm not gonna say the name of the project or the character just in case Simon slaps me, but I'm when I recorded a character not too long ago for Simon's project, which is coming out soon. It's in the TSC universe, which is cool. Same universe as
Mhm.
Rebecca. Anyway,
Ah, ah, ah.
anyway, basically, I literally, I was saying this to Simon. And I was like, yo, I've had so much fun with this character because I just expressed myself so hard. I was like, I was like actively in my room, like flinging my arms around, like I was kicking with my foot as if I was like kicking through a door. I was like expressing, and I was going all out with this character, and it's so much fun to just have that freedom. So, and it's like I think that's probably a topic for another time, but like expressing yourself even though they can't see you is also a good way to kind of get into character. Is a good
Yeah,
way. But yes, we
yeah,
keep bouncing back to Rebecca on Apple. That seems to be this. We should just retitle this podcast to talking about Rebecca. Um,
pretty much.
yo, Stealth,
But
what's about?
it's also, yeah. Oh, hi, Stealth. But with auditions also, if a character sounds mad, honestly, when I record a line where I'm mad, I make this really angry expression and I kind of do like a bit of a growl with it as well to sound like I'm really pissed. And when
Yeah,
I'm really happy, I smile really wide and I kind of like,
yeah,
you kind of need to act like it. And if you say, for example, if you're trying to say something, and it's supposed to sound happy, even something like just saying it with a smile can make it sound happy. If I
yeah,
say "what a lovely day" without a smile, then it sounds like that. If I say "what a lovely day," then you instantly kind of go into that vibe,
yeah,
and that kind of helps you get into that emotion.
yeah. I 100% agree with you. For example, I'm gonna use a quite depressing example here, but when I needed to record a scene where I needed to like be emotional, I
Hmm.
made myself cry and then recorded it.
Hmm.
Um, and
Yeah.
it really does. Like I was it was an emotional time.
Yeah.
It was
You
an
know,
emotional recording.
it's not always if you need to be or if you need to sound sad, think of sad thoughts, something like that. It doesn't always work like that. You
No,
kind of need
no,
to
no. Yeah.
just imagine. I'm gonna think of a random character, right? Say a character just saw a I don't know. Help me think of something sad. I just
Uh,
literally went back against my own words when I
wait.
said, but
You think of something sad? Okay. Think about
no. Wait. So, say a character is in a position where they are sad. Instead of just thinking, "Oh, sad puppies" or "sad whatever," just look at what the character is doing. Just go, "Okay, they are sad because I don't know, they're moving somewhere." Think about it as if you are moving, not anything that makes you sad, but just realize, okay, this is what makes the character sad. So, you're leaving your friends behind, or that's the story, right? This character is leaving all of their friends behind and is moving to a completely different city where they know nobody. If you think about that scenario, I mean, I would get kind of sad because of that if I had to leave all of my friends behind. So, in a way, while still being the character, you can put yourself in the situation and that way sound more real.
yeah. No, that 100% agree. Like, I feel like that. It's Simon. Damn it, a character like say Rebecca, for example.
No. I I I purposefully did not choose an example with Rebecca in it.
You were going to though, Sophie. Don't lie to us. You were definitely
No.
thinking it. You were
No,
thinking
I
it.
wasn't.
You were
No,
thinking it.
believe me.
Oh.
But yeah, you know.
Yeah. No. It's. Yeah. I get what you mean. Yeah. So for my scene which I was recording is I'm not actually allowed to say. Damn it. But it's
Mm.
a scene for. I'm not gonna mention the project either because that'll also be a spoiler. Um.
Ooh.
Basically. I there was just a scene where I had to like be on the phone to someone
Mhm.
and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I miss you," and like I was crying,
Oh.
and that's all
Mhm.
I'm gonna say. But that was the scene, and I was like crying and stuff. It was emotional.
Oh.
I actually used my phone as a prop as well. I remember yeah, it was yeah. So it putting yourself in the situation as much as you can also does help because it kind of emulates your
Yeah.
reaction.
Honestly, voice acting is just acting, but it's just your voice, which sounds really simple, but it's you just need to put all of your emotion or all of your everything the character does, just put it in the voice, and that can be quite hard. But in a way, if you're fighting, you're in a fist fight, I would suggest not punching anyone literally, but if you're in a fist fight, kind of make the movements, not actually punch stuff around, but just kind of make the movement of, okay, maybe they're doing an uppercut or something, or just punching someone. If you kind of do that movement, even if it's not really a punch, then you can kind of get into the feel of that.
Yeah.
If you're running, if your character is running, then you're kind of like, you're out of breath, so you need to think about that. But if you're saying something that it needs to sound like you're out of breath, and you still need to like make it clear what you're trying to say. You still need to carry the words across so that they're audible. It shouldn't just sound like heavy heaving and just
Yeah, just
whatever.
just don't breathe into your mic. Just you just make it realistic. Is also a one. Oh my god, Mickey, Enderboy's boyfriend. Wow, I
Somebody
can.
just oh
We got a
sorry.
question. We got a
Go on.
question. We got a question too. But Enderboy's boyfriend, I can
Yeah.
confirm. I can confirm that is not the case. So the question from Charlie reads: how do you know what character would fit you? Do you just pick randomly? Ooh, I'm gonna let you go first on this one, Sophie. I've
Okay.
got an answer of my own. But
Hyperventilating into your mic. But all right, I like that question because it's really interesting actually because the part of acting is that you can act like you're someone that you're totally not, or you can choose a role that's like you, which is the fun thing about auditioning because you can choose if you want to audition for this role. You can choose for a role uh, of like maybe a businesswoman. I'm not a businesswoman, but I can try to sound like one. So it's all up to what you want to do. But I guess what I did when I started out was I just auditioned with my normal voice, and if and I thought, if the creator is gonna pick me, then it's me being the character, so I don't have to think about an accent and also do the right tone of voice. Because if I really get into acting and if I really get into the emotion, sometimes I can break the accent, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's
If
really
I
hard
need
to
to
keep
sound British, sorry, Lewis,
that.
and then I get angry, then I kind of let that accent slide away, which is kind of it's a bummer, but it's something I could work on, I guess.
Yeah,
You can adapt to being a character, or you can kind of choose a character that seems like they are you.
I'd say that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
I've got a very outlandish answer. This may not work for everyone, but this is what I do.
Mhm.
So I believe, I believe that you, as a human being with a voice, have a certain range. There are certain notes you can't hit on the low end, there are certain notes you can't hit on the high end. And then you have a
Yeah.
range of just vocal just expressions. In that vocal expression, I believe there is no limit to a character that you can play. You can play any character you want provided you have the range, right? The rest of the audition or the rest of the voice is down to the acting and how well you can do the acting, because you can learn accents. That isn't a part of like your vocal range. That you can learn accents. You know, so, and you can learn different languages. So that isn't a part of your range. It is just a part of, it's a learning. And so
Yeah.
like acting is a skill you learn to act. So I say as long as you can get the range of the character like tonally, and you can play any character you want, and from that basis, and from that kind of freedom of will that I kind of carry with me mentally when going into voice auditions, I just say I'm gonna just go for a character that I think looks interesting, and then if I can act it, I can act some better than others. For example, because I'm used to acting Enderboy,
Yeah.
I can act Enderboy way better than I can say a new character. But
Mhm.
I just go for characters that I find interesting. Then knowing that, having that mentality of going in saying if I've got the range for it, and and I'm gonna just push myself. And obviously there
Mhm.
are exceptions where like your accent or your the way you speak uh is already like accustomed to a certain character, so they may come a little bit easier. For example,
Yeah.
the way I do a American accent kind of sounds a lot like Adam Driver when I do it, like in a deep voice.
Yeah.
So my Kylo, when I audition for characters like Kylo Ren, it comes a little bit easier to me. I can do
Mhm.
the I can do the voice a little bit easier. So that's kind of my example, and also my Enderboy one. I've had a lot of practice, but like I'm saying,
Yeah.
as long as you got the range for it, I believe there is no limit. That's how I kind of choose. And if the character looks interesting, I'll go
Yeah.
for it.
I agree with that mostly, but I think one thing that might be an obstacle, or that might answer your question, Charlie, is a character age-wise could determine if you're going to choose that character or not. I'd say I can do a high-pitched voice, so I can kind of pass as a kid, but obviously if you have a very light voice naturally and you can't go very low, then say you can't do a character that has a very gravelly voice, and that's kind of, also range wise, but you know
Yeah,
mm,
that's kind
you
of what
can
I was
try to
saying. Yeah.
sound, yeah, you can try to sound like a grandma, like I can do that. I can try to sound like a kid, but at the end of the day, you'll still have your own voice, and that'll kind of shine through a little bit. So, if you have a very light voice naturally, then you can't go very low because that's not in your range. But then again, a whole world opens up for you for very high or light voices, and you can experiment with that.
Yeah.
So you can still make it really interesting for yourself.
No, I agree. And the whole thing about, playing kids or playing older people, however, you may
Hmm.
look at it, that kind of like plays into the whole thing about the range I was talking about. Like, if you can't get to that, that is not in your vocal range, if you cannot get low enough, or wait, no, high enough, sorry, to play a
Hmm.
kid, then you can't play the character. That's just
Yeah,
how it is.
like let's give a really an example that you might think, well, duh. If an old man tries to voice a child, then you can definitely hear that that's not really a child. Same goes the other way around. If a 6-year-old tries to sound like a grandpa, they'll try to sound like it, but they'll just not sound like it.
Either,
So
to be
it's
fair.
still, it also depends on your own age as to what roles you can choose.
Yeah, I get it, yeah. But to be fair, though, Connor is one of the youngest in the hub, and my man plays my uncle.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can still be young, but have a great range.
But he's got a really deep voice. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just how it is. Like, Connor can do that. So yeah, that's kind of like the thing about the range. Like, if your range is good, but if you're like 6, like Scuffle said, like, there's no way you can be
Yeah.
an old person.
Also, something that kind of feels like a bummer, if you're sick, that can also play a part in your voice acting. You'd be
Yeah.
perfect to voice a character that's sick, but who is looking for a character that is sick at that exact moment when you're sick? I joke about that stuff. I go, does anybody need a character that's sick? But, you know, if you're sick, then you don't sound like a character, you know?
Is that because you were sick recently? You were like, no, does anyone need any sick characters?
Yeah. But the thing is, if you sound sick, maybe wait until you're feeling a bit better. Also, not to harm yourself, because if you keep forcing anything, then that's not good.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I stand by that 100%. This is going to be an example that's not voice acting wise, but does also kind of fit into it because you're still using your voice for it. But Shawn
Hmm.
Mendes, he was meant to be going on a tour and he didn't because he was sick, and he was told by his GP that if he went on the tour and did sing and like sang, he would
Yeah.
have completely destroyed his voice. And that is the same with voice acting. If you're going to play a character that shouts or maybe even sings, like, it doesn't really matter what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
If you play a character that does that and you're sick, you can destroy your voice, and that's just health expert. They know this, and this
Yeah.
you don't want to do
And
that.
and you shouldn't do it even if you're not sick. If there's a character that has a really high voice, like if
Anybody?
I try to speak in a really high pitched voice for more than an hour, then it's gonna hurt my throat. Or if I try to sound really low for more than an hour, then it's gonna hurt my throat. So still, take care of yourself if you voice act. Don't take it too far right away. You don't have to finish all of your voice lines in one day. Take your time.
Yeah, Ray. Sorry, throwing Ray under the bus again. No.
Well, sometimes it's easy. If I record my own voice, I'm just talking for an hour, I can do that. But anyone can do that really. But if if you need to strain your voice, if you're forcing your voice into something else, then it can start hurting. If it starts hurting, give yourself some time, go drink some water, go eat some like honey or whatever, like take care of yourself first.
Water is the best thing. Water is your best friend, basically, in voice acting. 100%. Drink
Well,
water.
yeah, in general, you should take care of yourself. Stay hydrated.
This is just turned into like a health and oh, you're a nurse anyway.
Yeah, what do you
You're a
expect?
nurse. No, honestly, fizzy drinks is your worst enemy in voice acting. Do not, I repeat, do not drink a fizzy drink before you do lines. I start shouting and I end up burping in the middle of my take. I am telling you, it is the worst thing to do to yourself. Okay, trust me. Drink water.
Mhm.
Water's the key. Or Ribena. Ribena's a good one. I love it. If you want a bit of flavor,
I
add a bit.
mean,
What?
I have iced tea on my desk right now, so I'm not really setting the great example, but
No, honestly, I've been drinking Tango throughout this. I don't think you realize how many times I've needed to burp in this. I've like gone like,
oh.
and then I thought, you know what? I've had this problem before. So, I'm just glad no one used Enderboy as an example for the voice that was meant to be really high pitched. Anyways, drink some iced tea, eat some pasta, and you'll be Gucci. Right? Okay, Simon.
Oh yes, you will be.
Actually, yeah. Sophie, as a nurse, what would you? This is the health podcast now. This.
I'm not a professional. I'm working, but I'm not a professional.
Well, I mean, you know stuff.
I
This.
mean, it's not like I have any special tricks to sound better, you know?
Ah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Most the most important thing I can suggest is just know your limit, because if you're gonna start hurting your voice or if you get tired, then just take a break.
Yeah.
I've tried to play through a whole game where it was kind of like there was no voice acting in the game, so I wanted to do my own voices, and I was doing it with friends. But the game took a couple of hours, and I kind of just I stopped somewhere playing the game because I was voicing this character that had a really high pitch, and at some point I couldn't be bothered doing the voice anymore. I was really tired, my throat hurt. I thought, yeah, this wasn't a good idea.
Was that when we played? What was it called? The monster game. Was that?
Oh, no,
That
no, no,
time?
no,
No,
no.
that wasn't that. Okay.
It
Fair
was a
enough.
different game. Monster Prom wasn't that long, actually. It was, I think it was Doki Doki,
Oh, I've never
because
heard of it.
that took a long time, and I was trying to voice Natsuki, and I imagined her sounding like a high-pitched tsundere type of girl, and then I did that for a long time, and
Jeez.
then I got really tired. So,
Jeez, a long time. Like 2 hours, maybe more. Was that?
well, like I said, I stopped while I was playing it, so I didn't finish the full game, but I
Right.
really did tire my voice that day. And
Yeah.
if you really mess it up, then you can have voice cracks and all of that for like a couple of days after. When I get sick and it like uh, basically it affects my vocal cords very quickly. So I get a lot of voice cracks. So when I'm sick, I don't usually record or anything like that because I will literally sound like I'm hitting puberty again. But,
Oh well, I mean, know your limits then, guys. I guess that's. Oh, we got a question from Stealth. Just wondering your thoughts on certain things in scripts that you wish writers didn't do or make hardest voice. Like, oh, I have so many things about this. Okay,
oh,
we haven't got much time left. We are already over an hour, so we're gonna make this bit pretty short.
okay.
But okay, I'll let you go first, Sophie. But here's the thing. I feel like this is a topic that's a big topic, and we could use for another podcast because this
Yeah.
there's lots of things in scripts that we voice actors we just like, but there's also
Mhm.
things that we hate. Okay, so give us like an example here, Sophie.
Pet peeves.
Pet
Pet
peeves for a
peeves.
script. Go on.
Yes. Okay. Really important. Creators, just listen real quick, okay? Not everybody does this, but when it happens, it's kind of really annoying because if there are spelling mistakes in your script, sometimes it can change the whole meaning to your sentence. Or, it can change up a word, right? And then the voice actor voices this line, and you say, well, that wasn't the right line, and then you go back and you look at it and you're like, oh wait, I did type that. So just to save everybody time, or not everybody, but a lot of hassle, just have somebody look over your script to catch the little spelling mistakes, or read it through with voice actors and have like a voice call or a voice session or a script read through, because that's a lot of fun as well. But just be really, you know, attentive of spelling mistakes, because yeah, that's important.
Yeah, I agree. Spelling was gonna be my example and the whole changing the meaning. I completely agree
Mm-hmm.
with that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, 100%. My biggest pet
Yeah.
peeve. There is another one which is not adding like emotes to your script because obviously we can't see a visual, so we
Oh.
don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is partly our job to try and convey that as well, so it's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, I do need a little bit of context. Um,
I
yeah,
I mean, yeah, say if a line, like we said before in the stream, can be taken two different ways. Sometimes in auditions I do lines in two or three different ways as well, like it's a really nice day today, or it's such a nice day today. Like sarcastic or not, happy or not, angry for some reason. I don't know why you'd be angry that it's a nice day, but just, you can feel like a line is portrayed in a way, or you can imagine it while the creator thinks, well, no, that's not how I envisioned it at all.
yeah, no, I
So
get it. Yeah,
even if it's just a short sound sad or sad, then oh, this is a sad line. I need to sound really sad or disappointed or stuff like that.
okay, so Braga just pointed out in the voice chat that's not an issue if you communicate well with your director. But I feel like
That's
it's true, but it's the director's job to tell the voice actor in one way or another how to do the line. If we do it and you don't like it, we're only going off the context that we've been provided. So I feel like
yeah,
that is also a thing. But I do get you, yeah, communication is key to try and figure out the kind of voice you want to convey. But normally it isn't too much of an
I
issue.
agree.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Usually what I would do for a voice is, what do you envision the character sounds like? Well, sometimes you don't have to do that. You can sound like yourself and be the character. But if a character is, a schoolgirl and she has a really high voice, or is like a spy and has a really dark and mysterious voice or something like that, then communication is really important to kind of talk about, okay, well, what do you think she sounds like in this situation? Or if it's written down, then that's easy for us as voice actors to just read it. But if you can talk about it, then that's really nice as well. If you can just start up a call and go, hey, so I have this character, what do you want me to do? And then talk about it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's communication is key in voice acting, definitely. Mickey says I think I'm not too bad at telling to someone how to voice act. Yeah, no, it's I don't think you are because once again you envision the character. You're the one who's directing it. You have a vision of what you want to do. The voice actor may
Yeah.
give you some like maybe tips or maybe may come up with their own idea if they're playing the character. Like the other person that will know the character as well as you is the voice actor. They're the only, so if they suggest something, I'd suggest listening. It's also one thing. If we suggest something about a character, obviously you guys know best as creators, but if we suggest something for a character, just keep open-minded because we're the ones playing the character. That's
Yeah.
also a thing. So as voice actors, don't be afraid to just suggest something to your creator. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of scripts, I guess. Mate, there is a lot more to talk about, but those are just
Yeah.
a few examples. And Lord
Mhm.
Skill just came in. Hi, man. We're literally like
Hello.
we're literally about to wrap up in a minute, and I feel really horrible because of. Oh no.
Well, we might be able to put this one up as a video. I'm not sure what the plan is for this yet, but
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be up as a video. I don't see no reason why it won't be. I might have just butchered that. Sorry, Braga. Anyway.
well, if
Oh,
anybody has any more questions, then
yeah.
ask them now and we can kind of talk about it for the last few minutes.
I just dropped glasses in a plate of curry.
No! Well, now, they have a new paint.
Oh, because we were doing this podcast, I had to rush my dinner like with me, and I was getting everything. I just took everything to my room. And I was like, okay, I don't have time to eat this, and I just haven't ate it, and it's just sitting in front of me. Me just so, and I just dropped my glasses.
Oh.
And ah, God damn it. But
All
yeah,
right.
if you guys have
Yeah.
any more questions, we can answer them real quick now, before we head off. But if not, that's. I mean, thank you guys for coming out. We've had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been a lot of fun so far.
It has. It has. Yeah.
And if you guys, would like to see this more often, like send us a message or, you know, tell us a topic that you would like us to chat about with you.
Yeah. Yeah. We're also open to criticism. We want you to tell us what we did, good, what we did bad, what we can improve for next time, because this is our first time doing this. So, if there's
Yeah.
anything we can include, like maybe like a special section for like certain things we could talk about, maybe a Q&A, like a little bit. Oh, I love to do stuff. Anyways, uh, um, thanks guys. But yeah, um,
Yeah,
oh,
thanks for
thanks.
watching, everyone.
Thanks for
Thanks
watching.
for hopping in.
Yep. So we've been your fellow voice actors. That's such a quality outro.
Yes, yes.
We'll hopefully we'll be back for another episode soon. We've had so much fun. Any final words, Sophie?
Well, y'all are amazing. Really like this. Thanks. Yeah, I
You,
think that's it.
you haven't plugged Rebecca at the end of this. Are you sure you're okay?
Oh, wait. One last question from Charlie. How do new people contact you guys? Me and my friends had Simon, but what are other ways to contact you?
Ooh.
Well, um, not sure if it's in the description or we can plug that, but maybe our own channels. But either way, we have Discord, we have Twitter.
Yeah.
You can probably find us somewhere.
Yeah, we have.
Join Machinima Hub.
Yeah, if you join the Machine Hood Discord, we're all over there. Scuffle has a YouTube channel, Scuffle, and I have mine, Lewis Films, as well. We have our Twitters, like we said. We're places. We're in places. You'll find us somewhere. Yeah, there's the Discord link. Go if you aren't at the Machinima Hub right now. Go join the Machinima Hub. We are ever growing hub. Over 100. How many people is it now, Briker? How many people is it now? I don't know, but we grew so large last year, and we're carry on growing this year. It's gonna be an amazing year. I can't wait for all of you to see the new projects that we got coming out. It's gonna be great. I'm so gassed. Anyways, I'm plugging Enderboy Balance Act for one last time. Thank you guys for watching. Go audition for Enderboy Balance Act if you haven't already. It's going to be an epic film. Rebecca, go watch it as well, because Scuffle's in it. And with that being
Go
said...
audition for all of the projects that we called in this video.
Oh, Bragger said just got over 200. We got 200 growing strong as well. Time to spam Lewis on his Spider-Man video essays. I haven't made a Spider-Man video essay in a while. I've got to do that. Anyways... thank you guys for watching. This is like the 5th outro. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.